Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of a Vietnam podcast. Before we get started, I wanted to say thank you so much to our sponsor for season 14, somewhere that I've been going to for a long time, and that's Premier Dental, based in Thao Dien in Saigon. Now, wherever you're listening to this episode from, it might be anywhere in the world, or you might be anywhere in Vietnam, or you might be right here in Saigon. Premier Dental can look after you, whether you're coming from overseas, out of the city, or you live right here. I can't recommend them enough. I've used them several times. I've even had my wisdom teeth out, but they made it easy and simple and actually painless. It didn't hurt at all. So if you are looking for a dentist in Saigon, I would recommend checking out Premier Dental, not just because they're a sponsor of a Vietnam podcast, because I trust them and they are incredible and they really do a fantastic job. So check them out. If you're listening from overseas, just remember, it's way cheaper to have a holiday in Vietnam and get your teeth done than it is probably in your home country. So come and have a holiday in Vietnam and get your teeth done at Premier Dental. So thank you so much to Premier Dental for sponsoring a Vietnam podcast, making this podcast possible, and being incredible dentists. So book your consultation today. Go to premierdental.vn and honestly, you will not regret it. All right, let's get started with this episode. Cheers. Have to record this for history because we're very excited. This is where 7 Million Bikes podcast goes to the next level. We're about to sign the lease for our very first studio premises right in the heart of D1. I can't believe this is actually happening.
1 Pasteur Street.
All right, we're going in.
Yep.
Hột gà nướng, hột vịt lộn, hột vịt sữa, trứng cút lộn, mất xào đây. Mất xào đây.
All right, we just signed the lease on a 1-year apartment, which is going to become our studio. The first / our weekend apartment / our second apartment. We've been in Vietnam for 9 years. I can't believe we now have 2 apartments. But it's not 2 apartments.
So
we have a
bougie.
studio. I can't believe we have a studio. I can't believe after I started a podcast for fun in 2019, because I was bored because you were working. We now have an international business and we're starting our own studio in Saigon. That's mind-blowing. We are buzzing right now. I don't really know. It's just amazing. We're back at Pasteur Street Craft Beer, which, as Adri called it, our spiritual home when we were walking in, which we've just passed 9 years in Vietnam. The first place we came to, one of the first places we came to in 2015 when we visited was Pasteur Street. On Pasteur Street, there was one location, it just opened. We love craft beer, we live in New Zealand, craft beer everywhere. The only craft beer in the whole of Vietnam we could find, or in Saigon anyway. Maybe a couple others, Platinum if you argue, but anyway, went to Pasteur Street, loved it. We came back a year later or so. The first thing we did was go to Pasteur Street, and we'd been waiting for it. We couldn't wait for a Jasmine IPA. And we've always come to Pasteur Street beer since we've lived here, and it's one of our go-to spots. We're buzzing right now, as we just showed you. We've just signed a lease on a studio, in an apartment, for a studio on Pasteur Street.
Pretty awesome.
I'm just like blown away right now.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely buzzing.
Part of D1.
Yeah. And then so many other things it's just amazing. So I've been looking for a place for a studio. Our beers are here, which is exciting. Thank you very much. Thank you.
10 years?
Perfect timing. 10 years of Pasteur Street as well. Which matches when we first came.
Yeah, 10 years of our
ago.
visit to Vietnam.
Then we came back 10 years ago. Cheers to 7 Million Bikes podcast. So I actually haven't had a drink for 2 months. This is my first pint.
So it is?
11 weeks, nearly 3 months. Cheers. And we are
Pretty
celebrating.
exciting thing.
So a few things that we're blown away with. One, I've been looking for a studio space for a few weeks now. It's been in my head for quite a few years, for a couple of years. Got close to doing it a year or so ago, but then it fell through. And then it just was one of these things like, I'm going to do it, but didn't really make the effort. And then only about a month ago or a few weeks ago, I was like, right, need to make the effort. There are no podcast studios in Saigon. There's plenty of studios. There's live stream studios. There's photo studios. I may be wrong, but as far as I can tell, there are no studios for rent in Saigon for podcasts. And in every other major city in the world, there's a plethora of them. There's heaps of them. You can just Google podcast studios and you find one, you rent one. There's ones in Singapore, there's ones in Bangkok, there's none in Saigon. And I wanted to be the first one. I think I am. So I've been looking at offices and I've been really picky. I wanted really particular specifications, like the lobby, the toilets, the walls. Yeah, the walls were really important because a lot of the offices we looked at were like thin plasterboard walls, so we're like, no, that's going to be too loud. And so hadn't found anything yet, but we knew we were going to. Then Adrian messaged me, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I didn't really look at my phone too much at work, but one Friday, I think, I just was checking notifications on Facebook, and a post came up on an expat group, which usually doesn't pan out because there's thousands of people in these tens of thousands of people in these expat groups, but it looked really nice. It looked affordable in comparison to some of the spaces we've been looking at. It's already furnished, D1 location. So I just screenshotted it, sent it to you.
Were you missing a key detail?
What?
It wasn't an office?
Well, it was an apartment. Yeah, it was an apartment, but the look of it, I don't know, it just had something. The pictures were beautiful, they often are, right, of spaces online. Yeah. So anyway, screenshotted it, was like, what about this? Just kind of on a whim. Yeah, it was an apartment.
Yeah.
And then...
I didn't think you'd think... The impression I got was you didn't think I would be interested because it wasn't really what I was looking for.
I wasn't sure because of the aesthetic. The aesthetic is very, quintessential, traditional, not traditional Vietnamese, but a little bit traditional Vietnamese. Like it's got tiled floors, beautiful exposed brick wall, that nice colonial yellow paint color. But one of the things we noticed when we were looking at some of the spaces, right, was that newer office buildings or newer buildings had thinner walls, and for your audio you need thick noise, I don't know,
audio proof, sound treated, I don't know, whatever. There's some of the places we went to, I would knock the wall and you could just hear how thin it was. It was basically plasterboard, somebody rented a big floor and then just put in some cheap walls.
Or a lot of the offices spaces you're looking at have glass partitions or glass walls, and that's not good for the sound. And then we also looked at a house that was to be used for an office space in Tallinn, right? But it was the ceilings were 15 feet high, which is also not going to be good for sound. There was a lot of natural light. You want dark so that you can have a bright, you can use studio lighting, and you want anyway, could tell all of it. It looked like it had potential from these little pictures on Facebook. Sent it to you, and then Neil, being Neil, was message the guy right away, can we go see it today? And he was like, when can you come? And I was like, yeah, I can just stop on my way home. It's actually...
Oh, was it the same day?
It was the same day or the next day. It was relatively convenient.
It might have been the same day, I think it was.
On my way home from work. I think it was a Friday as well, which helped, which meant I didn't have anything else going on. And as soon as we went, it just checked all those boxes. What I also really liked about it is that it has a kitchen, so...
No, but when we first walked in... Oh man, I just thought of something as well. I remember, so I had a meeting before I was going to see it, I was going to meet you to see this, and when I was driving there, I nearly thought I was just pulling over and messaging you and the guy and saying, let's just cancel it.
Yeah. Why?
I think because it was an apartment, and I was just driving on the way there, and I was it's just
be a waste of time.
It's just going to be a waste of time. It's not going to work. I don't know why. I just remember thinking, I'll just cancel this. And then I was like, why cancel it? Just go now and check it out.
Well, I was surprised that we actually ended up having a viewing so quickly because if you're looking for a place to live in Saigon, it's difficult, and there's loads of other people looking, and people will come with their deposit and they'll pay right away, or the rent was relatively cheap for what it is, I think.
Oh yeah.
In D1, nice sizable apartment. So I just assumed it would get snatched up right away. I didn't really think we had a chance, but I was like, let's try. And then, yeah, you're really persistent. It was on the Friday, because that whole weekend is when you were messaging back and forth, like, this is what we want to do, is that okay?
But just to go back quickly, not only was I going to cancel the meeting, when we walked in, my immediate reaction was no. I don't think I actually told you that. My immediate reaction was like, no, like, this is just no. And then it was kind of as I walked in, I think I walked all the way to the bedroom, as a bedroom.
It's an apartment.
It's an apartment. And then came back, and then I don't know, something just clicked, and I was like, no, this could work. This looks really nice. Because it's got that exposed brick wall, and then I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was like, no, this can work.
I think as well, seeing the initial pictures of it, the space before we went, and then also when we got there, is I know what you've been looking for is having like the ability to create multiple aesthetics, right? Because people might have different visions of what they want for their podcast to look like, right? I think that exposed brick is incredible, and then you go there and there's multiple different places. I think ultimately you'll probably just use the two.
Yeah.
But initially I was like, wow, you could have like 4 different places in this place that you record, and it's furnished, which helps as well.
We were looking at empty offices that we're going to have to furnish, kit out.
And it can be hard to see the potential in a empty room.
Yeah,
like that guy you sent me yesterday.
Yeah. There was somebody yesterday posted in some podcast Facebook group. Was like, hey, which one of these setups do you like? Corner room, back wall, blah blah blah. But it's just an empty white room, and
There
showed
was
it
2
to
chairs
AJ.
and
I
a
was like,
table.
I don't know how you would give your opinion on this because you can't see it. But anyway, that's an aside. So we spoke to the agent, or the guy organising. I'm not sure he's an actual agent, but super nice guy who. And then he was talking to the owner, and we kind of explained like what we want to do. We don't want to rent it as an apartment per se. We want to record podcasts there. A bit of back and forth, but it was all good, and everything was like, yeah, that's fine. You can do that, no worries. And so that was all agreed.
Are you going to talk about how there was a bit of we almost didn't get it for that reason?
No, when
You almost like were like, this isn't going to work out.
well, yeah. So there was a few like.
So I never really got my hopes up for it because you just never know. Like I said, renting an apartment in Saigon, you just never know until you confirmed and signed, because someone can always just come in and snatch it.
Well, so that's what I was going to say. So there was a bit of back and forth with like just legalities and things like this, and we kind of cleared those hurdles because I remember saying to Adrian, I did say to you last weekend or the weekend before, I think it was last weekend, I was like, I don't think it's going to work out. There's too many hoops to jump through. I thought it was just going to be too difficult, and if someone else wants to rent it and they're like, hey, can we just rent this as is? They're just going to be like, yeah, because we don't have to jump through all these hoops.
Yeah.
And so...
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. We just got Nashville hot chicken, which again, this has been on the menu since we first came
I think
10
since day
years
one.
ago, yeah. And it has always been a go-to, and it's amazing. So we're gonna eat some food because we're hungry. But so I thought, yeah, we wouldn't get it because I thought someone else might snap it up. I was just waiting for that text that's going to be like, hey, we already rented this to someone else who's already paid the deposit. And blah,
They
blah,
just
blah.
want to live there. They don't want to business it up.
Yeah, so that didn't happen. It was all agreed on about Tuesday last week, and we set the plan to meet today, which is Sunday, 3 p.m. to sign the contract. And then the owner, who spends most of the time overseas, was suddenly in Saigon, and we were like, oh wait, what? So we can meet the owner. So that was a little bit, we were like, wait, what's going on? Are we being played here? Because 1 minute they're telling us the owner's overseas, the next minute they're here, but it's fine. Then I messaged Who on Friday, so that's what I was going to say. All week I was really nervous that at one point I'm just going to get a message, be like, hey, sorry, we've already rented this to someone else.
Also, it was my fault for having like spidey senses, but you can never be too sure.
Adri's a much bigger doubter than I am, but in a good way.
Neil was like, can you transfer the deposit over now? And I was like, nothing has been signed. I was like, are we going to get some sort of guarantee of payment or like confirmation that we paid? Because the unit's not available until the 23rd, so we still have to wait it's not like we can get the keys because there's someone living there now. So I was like, we just need to make sure we're not just like throwing away tens of millions of dongs to some random person's bank account.
Yeah.
Which I think is valid.
It was very valid. So we agreed we're going to meet today, and then we're going to meet the owner with who has signed the contract and transfer the deposit, which was much more healthier and amenable. So we've just done that. We just signed the contract on our new apartment / studio in the heart of District 1, which is going to be the premier podcast studio in Saigon, the first ever podcast studio in Saigon. It's going to be fucking amazing. It's going to be so cool. Already got all the equipment planned out. We already know exactly what we're going to do with the space. Can't wait to get in. But everything, especially with podcasts, is about stories, and this is an absolute story. Even
It's why you started it.
yeah, and it's why I'm even telling you a story right now. It's
Full
what us
circle.
Scottish people do. We tell stories. So today we went, signed the contract, got to meet the owners, and as soon as he walked in, I was like, you just tell by the way he's dressed. He's older than us, I would say, probably 50s, not that much older, but so he walks in, I think him and his wife walk in, she's beautiful, he's cool, they're dressed really well. It's hard to tell because in Vietnam you never know, like the owner could just be like, I mean, no offence to them, could be just some guy who walks in with like his shirt unbuttoned and a pair of baggy pants on and a pair of plastic shower shoes, smoking
I
a
wasn't sure
cigarette.
if they were going to speak English. Yeah.
Or can they speak English or anything like that? So they walk in. They're just super well put together, super nice, really lovely couple. So immediately, like, good vibe from them. And then he said to me, "Oh, I recognise you. I've seen your podcast." Which immediately right away I was like, "That's fucking cool." No, not like that. Just it's so cool. And then second of all, he says, "Oh, you're Scottish," which is also amazing because I get, "Oh, you're Irish," nearly 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10. Then we get chatting to him and his wife. They've travelled all over the world. They've been to America, they've been to Texas, been to Australia, been to Dallas. We sat down and chatted with them. They were just super nice. But this is where the story part comes in, and just why I'm buzzing right now, and why I'm just so glad we didn't just get like some soulless office. So, turns out that they bought this house, this apartment 20 years ago, which, if you know me, I love. I just can't imagine what Saigon's changed in 10 years. I can't imagine what it was like 20 years ago. They designed the house from scratch, so she designed it herself. And he was telling us that she'd like watch DVDs, so it's before YouTube when you just watch YouTube.
That was cute.
Yeah, that's really cute.
Watch all these DVDs.
So she watched DVDs about like design and stuff. I don't know what they did for a profession exactly, but they're obviously really successful. And because they obviously own multiple properties and travel the world, but she designed the whole place from scratch, and then suddenly it was just like, okay, you get it.
You can feel that when you go in there. It's beautifully done.
Yeah, so beautifully done.
Yeah.
It is not done by accident. It wasn't just thrown together. It wasn't
No,
like
everything. Obviously, I think some of the stuff in there now is the current tenants, but you can tell the vibe. Everything is deliberate.
I was going to say everything's intentional. Yeah. So to hear that we're renting this place that was designed with intention, and that they're not normally in the country, but they just happened to be here at this time, came to sign the contract, came to meet us. They were so lovely. And then as we were chatting, I was like, so you know, we're going to make podcasts here? And he was like, yeah, actually that's one of the reasons why we're really excited to rent this to you. We're so happy and so proud that our apartment is going to be used in podcasts.
Yeah.
And that just blows my mind. That we're going to record there, we're going to rent that out, we're going to do amazing podcasts there for amazing companies, and they're going to be able to see like, hey, that's that brick wall that I designed 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm just on top. I'm just buzzing right now. There's so many good things. And they said that even though Saigon has changed so much in 20 years, the little laneway that it's on hasn't changed at all. It's a lot of the same people that have lived there forever.
Yeah. It's got a lot of, it just has so much character.
Yeah.
It's got vibes.
If we're being Gen Z, it's got vibes. If you're
got
millennial, it's got character.
Yeah. But yeah, it's got character. Really cool. And then, I mean, you didn't even tell them about the candle.
Go on with the candle.
So as we're leaving, I look underneath the entryway, and there's a candle that is a dog head, and it looks like Biscuit is staring up at us from underneath the table. It literally looks like someone took a cast of our dog's head face and then made a candle. You can't tell me that that doesn't look like our biscuit.
Meant to be.
I think, like, did they steal our dog and make a candle? Seriously.
So, look out for future episodes of a Vietnam podcast, Smelter Podcasting, and all the podcasts that we make in the first ever podcast studio in Saigon, filmed right in the heart of Saigon on Pasteur Street, where we are right now, Pasteur Street Craft Beer.
Maybe they'll sponsor your studio.
You held it, Pasteur. The ball is
You
in
can
your
have a little keg.
the ball is in your court now. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this episode of a Vietnam podcast. If today's episode made you smile, then make sure your smile is ready to shine with Premier Dental. How good a cheesy segue was that to our sponsor, Premier Dental. Thank you so much, Premier Dental, and you for listening. Check them out. They offer professional, ethical, world-class care right here in Saigon. You can find out more at premierdental.vn.